Is that a Christmas sweater? Wow. Wow. Very nice. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks. I missed his memorial yesterday too, which was kind of a bummer. Okay. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, yesterday we didn't have a bunch of guys in the mix because of a few little injuries, and then we had a sickness kind of going around the team. So, like Klich was sick. We had a few other guys sick the night before, the day of the match. So, but we're hopeful that everyone can be healthy and be back in training this week, with exception to Stuart, who actually had another surgery yesterday to kind of clean some things up. And they felt good that that surgery was successful. And then Luis Sinisterra is making great progress, and we feel like he's on track. We have to be a little bit cautious with this injury, but we're hopeful that in a couple weeks he can be back in training. But we're hopeful that everyone else is back in training this week. So we'll wait and see. But hopefully we can get healthy and fit and then ready for the start of the season again.
Jesse, I saw something linking Klich with a move to the MLS. Is he going to stay around, or is that a possibility for him?
There has been inquiry for Mateus, but I think from all sides, we're still cautious about thinking that it might be time for him to leave. I think he's still been really important here. One of the interesting things is he's played the 5th most matches for me since I've been here. He's played 25 of 28 games since I've been here. So for me, he's one of my favorite personalities of anyone I've ever coached. And we have a really good relationship, and we've been open with each other in all these moments along the way. And so I'm not sure, again, that it's the time for him to leave, but obviously, with the 25 of 28 games, they haven't all been starts, and I know that sometimes players would like to play a little bit more. I think we've had good dialogue about his role within the team and continued role within the team. So I think that that's not necessarily set in stone, and he's obviously a guy that I'm still I very much like, and we think is still a big part of this team.
One of those situations where you respect the player's wishes, but at the same time, any potential move has to really suit Leeds United.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. I think we have to be. Klich's earned so much respect around here in a lot of different ways, and so we have to always have open dialogue during the transfer windows for everybody, but then also act selfishly at sometimes for what's best for the club.
How's the break been, do you feel, overall, and what's it been like just welcoming back the players that have been away at the World Cup? Obviously, we know Tyler's suspended as well for this game.
Overall, I think it's been great. We've invested a lot in the fitness of the team as well, so some of the little injuries have come because we've pushed them a little bit physically, but I think that was one of the reasons why we kind of held guys back last night, is we didn't want to jeopardize them for a week later. Even in the match last night, I think there were some heavy legs in the second half, which contributed to some of the issues we had at the beginning of the second half with goals. But I actually think first half was a really, really strong performance and really clear from a lot of players. So I feel like we've made progress. The togetherness of the group is always really strong, and we need to get everybody as close to 100% fitness once we get started, because the games come quick.
You've not been scared to throw in younger players as well as at times. Mateo Joseph has been training with the first team squad. Is he someone who can impact the first team in the second part?
I think, I mentioned maybe 2 months ago that Klich was knocking on the door a little bit, and I had to, at some point, kind of throw him into the mix more. I've talked to them about Willy, Sam Greenwood. Obviously, Joffy's another guy that's played a lot of matches since I've been here, but obviously Joffy's always pushing. And I think now Mateo from the younger group is the next guy that I think with the 21s has performed really well with them, has trained really well with us. And is asking questions of myself and the staff about what his continued role should be and will be. So he's done really well. You're right about that, and we'll see what the next month brings.
11 goals in Premier League 2 and 8 appearances he's got.
Yeah, he scored a lot of goals. And when he scores, he can He scored a few hat tricks, and he can score in bunches. So,
with that in mind, though, as well, obviously, talk about you've been able to supplement the first team squad, but do you need to be active in this transfer window? Is it likely that you could bring someone in, particularly maybe a forward option at the moment?
Well, here's how I want to deal with it this transfer window. Okay. Obviously, we're being active, and Victor and Andrea and everybody's hard at work behind the scenes. But I want to avoid from talking about it, just because it becomes a lightning rod, and everybody wants to draw attention to that. And I need to keep our attention squarely on our group and our progress. So you're going to hear more. I'm not talking about it this time around than last time.
Fair enough. Let's talk about football then.
Yeah,
I just want
good.
to start a tough start that you've got to the restart of the Premier League campaign.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just looking at Man City, and I would have hoped that more of the Man City players would have gone deeper in the tournament, but the obviously the tournament's so competitive that it's not easy. But they just have such a great squad, and for me, the best manager in the world. A very difficult playing style to prepare for, and then when you introduce the quality that they have on the pitch, it becomes a monumental task. The good thing about our team now is that we're not afraid of the biggest opponents, and we've proven that not only can we play with them on the day, but that we can find ways to get points. So we'll use that motivation, but we'll also have to have very clear match plan and discipline and execution on the day to give ourselves a chance. And we know that, but I feel like the first day we got together, I said the standard of everything we do from here on in has to be with the Man City, the best team in the world, in mind, or one of the best teams in the world. And I think that the attention to detail and concentration from the group has been for such a challenge. So, we're excited.
We obviously know what happened against City last season. How do you, with the group, kind of put that out of their minds? Is it relatively straightforward to do that?
Actually, I think we can take positives from last year. I think we played actually quite well, and we gave up 2 set-piece goals and then went down 2-0 and then gave up 2 late goals. Now, it wasn't good enough, and I think we've progressed a lot since then, and we believe that we can get more from it now, really. I mean, when we had to play the 3 giants in a row last year, I think it was just about survival. I think now it's more about, can we be better on the day? And we know that against some of these opponents that we have been able to manage that. So really huge respect for Man City and the way they play and the quality they have and the mentality they have. But we also saw right before the break that Brentford at Man City on the day could do the things that they wanted and manage to get the points. So that'll be our focus.
Jesse, can I just check something with you as well?
Yeah.
Christopher Vivell, did you work closely with him?
Yeah.
Just wondering what you think he'll bring to Chelsea, because obviously taking over the technical director role.
Yeah, I worked with Chris at Salzburg and at Leipzig. I think Chris's greatest asset is his recruitment ability. He's assessed a lot of talent over the years and found really good players, and I think that's really what his bread and butter has been. So, I consider him a friend, and I'm happy for him and wish him the best. And we'll be gunning for him when we play him. Yep.
Thank you. Can I just clarify on a couple more of the players who were missing last night? Liam Cooper and Jack Harrison, are they both suffering with the illness that you spoke about?
No, Coops had a minor calf injury, and Jack Harrison had a small adductor injury.
But do they come into the category players that you're hopeful will be available?
Yeah, they should be training this week.
Likewise, an update on Summerville as well. He picked up that ankle injury out in Spain. How's he getting on?
Yeah, he was on the pitch today, and he should be in training as well this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rodrigo too.
Rodrigo was scheduled to play in the match up until the afternoon of the match, and then we just felt like he was feeling a little bit of a tightness in his hamstring, so we decided to hold him out.
Okay. And Patrick Bamford, is there any timescale on his return at the moment?
So when he got sick, I think it disrupted a little bit his return into training, but we expect that he'll be back in training as well. So and then it'll be, can we get him up to speed for the Man City match? But we expect he'll be back in training.
And how confident are you about Meslier being fit again after his glandular fever for the Man City game?
He has a sort of a test tomorrow morning where they kind of do some internal checking, and then if he's cleared, which they typically think it'll be 4 weeks by that point, that we think he'll be back in training. But he's been active in it's two with glandular fever. It's two things. It's modifying so they don't get chronic fatigue, and then it's also making sure that they have no contact, so that when they have swelling of internal organs, that you're not risking any damage. So. But he's felt really good, and I expect him to be in full training.
Okay. If he's not quite where you want him to be, have you made a decision yet as to who your replacement keeper?
No, I think we've had some discussions, and I think both goalkeepers have performed well. Obviously, Chris had an illness as well, so wasn't in Spain. Joel, I think, has performed really well and been a great addition to what we've done here. So we haven't made that decision yet, but I think that both will be ready if need so.
Appreciate reluctance to talk about the January transfer window. More specifically, or more generally speaking rather, are you happy that there is finance available to do some business in January should it be needed?
Yeah, I think, again, they'll be working with some different ideas of how to put together the whole package so that we can add to the team in the way we need to. And we discuss this often, but yeah, I mean, they'll be. It's already been incredibly active. With some of the goals, I think everyone's had goals that maybe you can get players in ahead of time, right? So that you can have them even before January 1st. So, yeah, let's see how things progress.
So it's not a situation where somebody would maybe need to leave in order to finance.
No, I think in general, you don't want to. Like there's different strategies. I think Pep has said over the years he likes 18, senior players. Because more than that, it gets difficult to manage rotation. Then he introduces young players. Some, I've been places where they've said the number should, if you're playing in Europe, the number should be 21. I've been places where they say 20. So we're not so structured that way, and we have a lot of sort of moving pieces at different times. And we try to just look at what's the best situation for every individual, and then how it fits within the group that we're trying to push for any given time period. I've been really. For me, with the work that we've done here, I've been really happy and satisfied with the commitment from every player to try to get the most out of it every day. And that's ultimately more my job than telling we need this transfer, this transfer, this transfer.
One last one on looking ahead to Man City. Willy Gnonto's been a real bright spark. Is he somebody that you could see featuring against Manchester City?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of our players that maybe if we had our full squad available, that wouldn't have gotten as much sort of preparation game time in the last few games that have performed well. And I think Willy's certainly one of those. So that's good to see. And I think, yes, he becomes absolutely an option to start against Man City.
Thank you.
Yep.
You said you think Pep's the best manager in the world. What makes him that for you?
Well, maybe it's fair to say that he's the best at managing the types of players that he manages, right? Like he gets usually some of the top talent in the world, and he has over his career, and then his ability to form a team around, and a football concept around having those quality players maybe makes him among the best or the best. Like at one point, I think he said something about whether Marcelo, if he coached Marcelo's team and they did it vice versa. And, that's the beauty of our sport is we all have our own ideas of how to play the game. And then it's about finding the right player pool to meet the standards of the way you want to play the game. And so that part at Man City, I think, has been over the years has been managed really well. And that's ultimately, the goal of what we're doing here is transfer window by transfer window to continue to add to our team with the kinds of players that we think can fit to what we're trying to achieve tactically, and then what our goals are long term in terms of success.
Yeah. For the past month, we've been watching some of the world's greatest stars on the biggest stage. One man has been in the shadows for all that time, Erling Haaland. What fears do you may have that he wants to come out champing at the bit this this coming game? I was going to say this weekend, it's next week, isn't it?
Yes, Erling texted me as soon as the schedule came out, and he said that he's most excited for Boxing Day, and I gave him permission to have a small hamstring injury for that match. But I think he's born here. His father has history with the club. He has, I think, the club in his heart because of that. It's something that we've talked about before. When I got the job, he was him and his father were both incredibly supportive and excited for me. And so I think we'll expect him to be fully ready and passionate about this match, which causes issues for us. And obviously, I know how good he is, and I know how good he can be when he's at his best. So, it'll certainly be important for us to manage him on the day. I've been asked many times, how do you do that? And the answer is, I think you just have to have a keen awareness of where he is at all times and where he likes to be. And certainly it's his ability to run hard into the box, his ability to run hard in transition, his ability to do whatever it takes around the goal to get on the ends of plays. So he's often not the one that's starting the play. He's always thinking about where to be so that he can be finishing it. And his instincts in that manner are incredibly unique. So, we will educate the team as to what to expect and then how to try to prevent him from getting into those areas.
Just finally from me, what do you think, or what do you maybe fear the long-term impacts on the Premier League this World Cup will have?
I don't know. And do you mean long-term this season, or you mean like overall?
Well, yeah, this season. Do you think it will impact?
Yeah, I think it has the potential to burn some players out. And I've seen even whatever, Man City, I think, has brought their players back relatively quickly, and there's sort of a standard in our business that after these big national team tournaments that players need 3 weeks. We even only provided 10 days, right? So we were fully aware that with the season coming around so quickly, it's important to get them back. But the physical and mental demands of a big tournament like that are very high. And so I think it's really important that we have appreciation for what these young men go through in these situations and what the pressure of representing their country in big tournaments is like. So, for us, we had 3 players. We tried to use, again, the break to bolster our fitness and also create clarity in our tactics. And then, make sure that we're refreshed in a way where when we get back into it and it's coming quick, and the games come fast, that we are going to be at our best.
Thanks.
Yep.
John?
Hi, Jesse. Can I just ask about Mark Jackson and what the future holds for him, having been linked with the managerial job at
Yeah, I mean, listen, all I can really talk about right now is that Jacko has been an absolute asset for me from the first day that I stepped foot into this building. He has done everything and more that I could have hoped. His passion, his commitment, his love of this club made him essential for me and for us in our quest to stay in the league. And I fully believe that without him, we wouldn't have stayed in the league. He helped me understand what the culture of the club is, what the culture of the fans, what the history means to what we're building here. He helped me understand the player pool, what was done in the past, what he thinks we need to do in the future. He committed himself to what I was doing entirely. So it's not for me to talk about what may be out there or what his future may be, but I can only say that I value him completely as a person and as a football mind. And I can see why there's interest in him because I think he has a big future.
On Manchester City, you've spoken about Erling and you've spoken about how they've got a very difficult play style. They've got lots of high turnovers, lots of build-up attacks. Is there a way that you identify to set up against a team who dominate the ball but are also so good out of possession as well?
Yes, I mean, whatever opponent we play against, we look at their strengths and weaknesses, and we then try to address within our principles where we think we can find advantages on the day. I think we've done that in a good job this season in almost every match, and certainly against some of the big opponents. And the key for us will be, and when you play a team like Man City, it's understanding the tactics and then what they're trying to achieve and how to negate that, and then obviously understanding the qualities of the players that they have, because on their team they have such high quality, but then also how to make them uncomfortable. And that's with them against the ball and set pieces, in what areas you think you can make them susceptible. And obviously, the better the team, the fewer weaknesses they have. But every team and every system has weaknesses. And so it'll be about exploiting those and playing in those areas.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hey Jesse, you've got immense competition for places in some positions especially. What's your attitude to outgoings in January, particularly loans maybe with some of the fringe players, maybe a Toby or younger players like Barker perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, those discussions I think are ongoing, especially with young players, is how to challenge them to grow and equip them with things so that ultimately they'll provide the club with more at some point. How to shape their development path to get them to be the best that they can be as quickly as they possibly can. And whether that's a loan or staying here and then looking at the overall resources of what we have as a team and as a club, and so, if you bring up Cody, and Cody has been fantastic over the last month, and I'm so happy that we have gotten to a point with him where he feels so energized by what we're doing and engaged. And then the decision will be how to continue to push him in the direction for him to be an important player at this club, which I think he will be. And listen, maybe we need to even think about it, how it fits now. So he's done really well, and I'm really happy for him. And then you kind of just try to go through every player. What's the situation of the team? What's his personal situation? How do we provide him with what he needs to push him along as quickly as possible?
Tyler, we know is the big miss for the City game. How are you feeling your preparations are going for coping without him, and also how you're managing him in his return to training? We know he's had a slower approach. Yeah.
I think first of all for him it's been somewhat good that he's not available, because it gives him a little bit more time to kind of gradually build in, because the demands on him mentally and physically were so high at the World Cup. I think he's come out of it in a good way. He's excited to get back to work. He's obviously very confident and eager to get going. But I think he's on track personally. And then, I think we've got Adam back in the mix, and I thought he played fantastic for the 60 minutes last night. Sam Greenwood has made a lot of progress. Obviously, Mark is a cornerstone in what we're doing. I thought even with the way we've modified how we play a little bit more 4-3-3 against the ball. Klich played well in a couple of our matches, and I think once he gets out of his sickness, I think he'll be a factor moving forward. So we have options, and then it'll just be about within the new structure that we're trying to create it within against the ball, how to use guys the best way to feed in their strengths.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We asked Rennie a little about the 4-3-3. I wonder what you think it does for the team, or why you've kind of gone down that route.
Well, against the ball, I think it gives us a little bit more flexibility to play where we can play a little bit more tilted, or we call it asymmetrically, on one side or the other. We can use the front three and the middle three with different ways of pressing, where we can cover spaces, where we can kind of still attack in front of the back four in ways where we can protect and attack areas on the ball side, and then also protect things a little bit more on the weak side. Now, last night in the second half, we get beat in ways that are similar to some of the things that have happened to us in the past, and we're talking about systematically how we needed to address some of those moments. But we can. The 4-3-3 can look like a diamond. It can look like a Christmas tree. It can look like even the 4-2-3-1 at times. It can, we can manipulate it with small little subtle tactical subtleties based on what the opponent is going to present us.
With Haaland, do you think it makes any difference to you planning for him that you've actually coached him day-to-day sight of what he is,
Yeah.
what he does?
It'll help us, I think, a little bit. I think it'll motivate him on the day a little bit, but it'll motivate me as well. The time I had with Erling was just outstanding, and we had an incredible relationship. He fit into the team so well. It was a really special team we had in Salzburg at the time. And everyone committed to it at a high level, and we really enjoyed the whole process. I think Erling was a real good example for all the young players there in terms of someone who had their mind entirely wrapped around football, but in a way that was fun. You know, I think you guys see that about his personality. He's obviously very serious about what he does, but he does it in a way where it's enjoyable and it's infectious for his teammates. So, in general, I mean, I have some ideas of things we will try to do, but again, it'll come down to luck on the day in certain moments and finding ways to contain him and hoping that we can still find ways to punish them as well.